We got some big news on the Highlander reboot front. The films and television shows that John Wick director Chad Stahelski has been working on for over a decade looks like are going to be pushed to the front as he signed a big deal with Lionsgate to bring the first Highlander movie, that reboot movie, to fruition. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. With that out of the way, let's get into this here. As I said, Chad Stahelski has signed an overall deal at Lionsgate that will see the Highlander reboot starring Henry Cavill as his next feature film. Lionsgate Motion Picture Group outgoing chair Joe Drake and chair Adam Fogelson announced this deal expands on the great creative relationship we already have in place on John Wick and extends it to our Highlander franchise. They added, from the outset, Chad has been the creative force defining the world of Wick as we continue to think about the future for that world. We want Chad working together with Basil Iwanwick, I hope I'm saying that right, and Erica Lee of Thunder Road as our stewards, guiding us and strategizing together at every step. This deal makes it official, and we look forward to his steady hand and creative input, not just on the film he is making, but other stories that arise from it. He is a true visionary, and we are thrilled to have him in our corner. Stahelski also shared this. I am pleased to be able to grow my relationship with Lionsgate in this new oversight role for the John Wick universe and its further expansion. John Wick is so close to my heart, and to be able to continue shepherding it will be a blast for me. I'm so happy to also be launching another franchise with Highlander, a world that is so rich with engaging stories to be told. So the Highlander movie is indeed moving forward. And he's talked about the Highlander reboot for a while now, that it's been in the works at least since like 2016, 2015, maybe even before that. Probably the biggest recent news was back in 2021 when they announced that Henry Cavill had boarded the project. It was unclear what role he is going to play, if he's going to be maybe the Sean Connery type role where he is the mentor, or if he's going to be playing McLeod, or potentially even maybe a villain or something like that. But as far as what his plans are, he did reveal a ton to Collider back in 2017, indicating that he was working on the script and that he wanted the franchise to be spanning across film and television. This is what he said. He says, we're currently doing a bit of work on the overall plot structure, obviously talking about the film. When I came on board, they were trying to reinvent the single Highlander property. We've gone since back in, and we would like to really expand the world. So we consider the same shortcomings don't happen again that happened on the original project, meaning you have one great movie and 4 questionable follow-ups. We want to develop a property that can give us, and again, it's not about marketing. It's not so much about the financials. It's about how can we make a more mythological chapter 1, chapter 2. What's a great way to tell this story? He then revealed that they would be finding inspiration from the Highlander TV series as well as Star Wars. He says, I think the TV series hit on a lot of great stuff, what that wasn't in the feature, between the Watchers and all the different types of immortals. How do we get into a feature mode before we dribble it into the TV world? Well, let's restructure it in parts. Let's look at it like it was a TV show. Let's look at it like it was a high-end trilogy. How do we get to tell the story of the Gathering, the Quickenings, the Immortals? And how do we really build this world out even more so than the original project? That's what we're restructuring right now. It's taking all the good stuff that we had before I was involved in the project from the script, redeveloping the script to give us really good chapters 1, 2, and 3, and expanding the world. As for Star Wars, he said the vision we're trying to get across and what we're trying to develop, I equate very close to Star Wars. The first one is a very satisfying ending, but it does leave the door open, and that's kind of how I see this. I would really like to expand it over 3. I see the Gathering happening over 3, so obviously referring to a trilogy of films. And then he said, it's tricky, don't get me wrong. That's why we're still developing it. We want to be able to tell 3 complete stories that all kind of fit. I think the Star Wars trilogy, at least up to The Empire Strikes Back, is a good example of how we want to process it. He then detailed that he really wants to kind of take the gunplay that he's famous for in the John Wick and translate that into swordplay for Highlander. He says, if heads coming apart is an R, great. If heads coming apart is a PG, great. Ratings are second to what we're going to do. Highlander, I think the action is, at least what's in my head, is going to fall on a line for sure. We want to design it what we think is aesthetically cool. And so far, I've met no resistance. They're like, look, whatever you did with John Wick with the gun stuff, we want you to try and do with the sword stuff. We want you to make something cool and something unique and something that's going to make audiences say, wow, I haven't seen that before. He would then go on to reveal some more details more recently in an interview with Josh Horowitz. on YouTube. He said, "We're looking to do our story. We're looking to do our story. Engages a lot of the same characters and stuff like that. But we've also brought in elements of all the TV shows, and we're trying to do a bit of a prequel, a setup for The Gathering, so we have room to grow the property. If we get our crap together and we pulled off the feature, like, yeah, we have ideas for days about how to make the coolest characters and to make that an epic TV show. I just think that's a rich, rich material. When you can pick any period in time, any nationality, any culture, any type of person, and make them an immortal that have to duel and deal with the burden of immortality, that's effing cool to me." So obviously, lots of ideas there for a potential TV show with lots of different characters and different immortals. In November 2023, he said that the film will, quote, encapsulate everything you loved about the original. This is what he told The Wrap. "We're trying to encapsulate everything you loved about the original with more, meaning we want to ground it. We want it to be a great chance at world building mythology, but we still want to keep it fun. It's like the Wick movies. You want to experience this world, you want to believe it's real, but it's also 5 degrees off from reality. This is a movie with immortals running around chopping each other's heads off. There's a certain ridiculousness to it. It's like the Wicks. We ride the tone. Everybody in the movie thinks it's real, but we as an audience can get our heads around it. Look, suspend disbelief. We're trying to get you on board for this amazing journey with people who have lived hundreds of years. It's a challenge, but I'm very excited." He would also confirm that the film would feature music from Queen. So I'm actually really excited for this. I think he's saying all the right things. I think everything he's saying here sounds really interesting. The swordplay could be a lot of fun with the action. It definitely sounds like he's taking his time and really trying to construct the world and build a mythology around it. Obviously, he saw the mistakes of the previous Highlander franchise, where it kind of just went off on its own and didn't really have any kind of continuity and was didn't really make a lot of sense. So trying to like bring it back, bring it all together, make it all work, I think is really important. And the fact that he wants us to actually immerse ourselves in the world and feel like we're in it, I think is really important too. I feel like a lot of times when we go to see the movies or we watch something on television now, these people aren't thinking about that. They don't want us to be immersed in the shows and in the television shows. They'd rather tell us some kind of lecture, or they're making some kind of allegory or something like that. They're trying to like propagandize to you or instruct you or hit you over the head with a message that they're trying to tell you, rather than just letting you live in the world and being immersed in the world and following the characters of that world and the decisions that they make. So I think he's saying a lot of really good things here. I really like what he's saying. I'm actually really excited for this. I think this is one of the few things that I am excited about. I think the idea of the Highlander concept is really interesting. The quickening, the gathering. There can be only one. The prize being you no longer have your immortality and you become immortal. I hope they keep that. I hope they keep that as the actual prize. So I really like that. I hope they're not I hope they're not aliens. I didn't really like that idea. I thought that idea was kind of ridiculous. I think some maybe like spiritual thing could be interesting instead. Maybe you don't even have to explain that. You just like there's immortals and people are just like, okay, we accept that. And you don't have to go into any kind of like deep explanation on that. If they do, that's cool too. But I do like the idea that the prize is mortality from the first film. And I really like that. Although it could be, you get the other things too, right? You can like hear people's voices in your heads and things like that and manipulate people. So there's a reason to fight. That McLeod has that reason to fight to defeat the Kurgan, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm excited. You got Henry Cavill doing this. I mean, I think the guy's great. He really is dedicated to story continuity. That seems to be why he left The Witcher and why he's over there at Prime Video developing the Warhammer stuff, Warhammer 40,000. And then looks like he's obviously is probably doing some work here on the Highlander as well. We did have some other details here. The film is supposed to go into production sometime this year, and it's supposed to have $100 million production budget. That might be a little high, especially considering now we see films like Godzilla Minus One having less than $15 million production budget and still doing really well. And then even films like Father Stew only having a $4 million production budget and telling a very quality, well-written story. Maybe with the swordplay and things like that, it boosts it up a little bit. But I think you can tell a really good Highlander story on a cheap budget. But again, I'm really looking forward to what they've got cooking here. This is probably one of the more anticipated films and projects that Lionsgate and Chad Stahelski and Henry Cavill are working on. But let me know what you guys make of this Highlander reboot officially getting the green light. Are you excited for it? Are you excited for it as much as I am? Or are you like, enough with the reboots? We don't need this anymore. Let's try something else. You'd rather have something more original. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.